What's going on YouTube? When it comes to large family hauling Chevy SUVs, you probably first think of the sales king Chevy Tahoe. It's long been the choice of American families who need it all: space, luxury, and tech. However, some of you might also know that there is a second three-row SUV in the Chevy lineup, the Traverse. It's got a lot of similarities to the Tahoe and is very large as well. So, after a redesign, should you pick the Traverse over the refreshed Tahoe and save a lot of dough? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So to start off here, let's see where they set when fully loaded out. The Traverse is technically a mid-size three-row crossover, and because of that, it carries a more affordable price tag. Even though a new High Country trim is being added for 2025, the loaded model is still the RS, which starts at $57,400. All in, we're just shy of $60,000 fully loaded. On the flip side, the Tahoe is a full-size three-row SUV, meaning that it has a much higher price tag. All in, we're looking at a $95,000 price tag for the loaded trim level. We will be compensating for this price gap later on in the value section. But, as you'll see throughout this comparison, these two have more in common than you might expect for their vastly different prices. By the way, if you want to get the best price from local dealerships and access to invoice pricing information for these two models or any new vehicle, we have a tool on our website to do just that. It's quite helpful when shopping, so check the link in the description for more info. If you haven't seen one of our comparisons in the past, they are conducted in an objective way. We've done our best to weigh the points awarded throughout in major and minor categories, and no points will be awarded for less than a 5% difference. But with that being said, let's get into it and see if the Tahoe is worth the money. As expected, when it comes to overall looks, they do share some common elements, since of course they are from the same brand. The High Country Tahoe refreshed its face this year to have a black and chrome design with many intricate details to show you spent the big bucks. Traverse also goes for a blacked out grille, and it has an overall sportier look than the Tahoe. Points won't be awarded for design preferences, but we do have some lighting differences. They get full LED projector headlights that even have fancy animations and dynamic turn signal indicators. However, only Tahoe includes LED fog lamps, which are back this year. Heading to the sides, you might be curious to how much bigger the full-size Tahoe is. And surprisingly, it's only about 6 inches longer than the Traverse, since that model is one of the biggest options in the midsize class. The Traverse looks smaller due to design differences. But of course, the biggest thing is the actual cargo and space differences, which are coming up later in this comparison. Continuing on that trend of bigness, we have mega wheels on both. Traverse includes a large 22-inch alloy, and then the Tahoe takes things to the extreme. New this year, it has insanely big 24-inch alloys, which is enough of a difference to score a point. We'll talk more about the important topic of ride quality later. But for now, know that both rear designs are boxy and tough, with the Traverse once again having the sportier flair. Features-wise, they both have premium animating LED taillights, spoilers, quad-tipped exhaust outlets, and the Tahoe hides its rear wiper to keep it from being exposed to the elements. While the features are similar, their tow ratings are certainly not. Because the Traverse is based on a unibody platform, and the Tahoe on a body-on-frame platform, the latter tows significantly more. To be exact, its maximum is 47% more than the Traverse, which is a huge consideration for those looking to tow often. Now moving past that, both SUVs are loaded with features, like mirrors that heat, fold, automatically dim, and include blind spot monitoring. Speaking of BSM, as far as your other active safety features, both give you every single system as standard equipment this year. On both models, we also have GM's Advanced Super Cruise system, which allows for hands-free driving in certain circumstances. This feature is optional on the High Country Tahoe and standard on the RS Traverse. Anyway, that's the end of the exterior comparison. So now let's get into the interior differences. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
So walking up to the vehicles, both have smart entry systems with built-in remote start. They also have the same key fob design, and neither have sensors behind the door handle to unlock. It's only the Tahoe, however, that has power deploying running boards, since that's not an available option on the Traverse. Now, checking out the interiors themselves, they have radically different designs. The Tahoe's exclusive mocha leather interior has an upscale look to it. The Tahoe's exclusive mocha leather cabin has an upscale look to it, while the Traverse is stuck with a black interior color scheme for all trim levels. That means you'll have more customization options in the Tahoe. And as far as the seats themselves, they are both heated and ventilated with memory functions. Also note that massage is unavailable on both models. Getting inside and moving to broader interior materials, both are nicely done. However, the Tahoe has more in common with a luxury nameplate due to its big price tag, featuring leather coverings on the dash, real wood accents, and stitching patterns that break up the space. While Traverse is nice enough, it's definitely missing a sense of specialness of the higher priced Tahoe. Now after startup, you will find full digital gauge clusters on both. As a matter of fact, it's the same 11-inch digital cluster on both. But only the Tahoe adds a 15-inch head-up display to the mix. And moving back to the steering wheels, both have heating, leather wrapping, and power adjustment. Now the next major area to evaluate is interior storage, where both of them are impressive and will fit your family's needs. Looking at the center console and storage areas in the front, the Tahoe's is a bit larger than the Traverse. That being said, it lacks the floating console that Traverse has. We're not done yet though, as it's only the Tahoe that includes a sliding console for secret extra storage and security when the vehicle is turned off. Now the reason both are offering so much space is because they've moved to a new column-mounted electronic shifter. When in reverse, they include multi-view 360-degree camera systems, surprisingly standard across all trim grades. For climate, both have 3-zone automatic setups and have the same physical knob to control important functions like temperature. Both also have knobs to control their Bose audio systems, so let's sample them. These are 10-speaker systems which are bass-rich and have decent audio quality. Now, moving on to the screens, you'll see that these two are a lot alike. Well, that's because they actually have the same gigantic 17.7-inch display as standard equipment on all trims. That's definitely a good thing considering the performance is impressive. They also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay abilities and even Google built in. That allows things like Google Maps to be natively in the system, which is a lot better than many rivals are offering. Finally, ending the front areas, both have rear camera mirror systems and large power panoramic sunroofs. Now so far in this comparison, you've seen that these two have more similarities than you might expect. And that's surprisingly going to continue when it comes to rear space. The Tahoe has the slight legroom advantage, but it's actually the Traverse with a premium on headroom. However, neither of them are more than the 5% difference required to score a point. The features are also largely the same, both having their own climate controls, heated rear seats, USB ports, and household outlets. Ventilated back seats are not offered. Really, the only difference is that the Tahoe includes rear seat entertainment as equipped. That gives you these large dual screens for keeping the kids entertained. Moving on to the next row of seats, we see more significant differences. First, for seat folding, it's the Traverse with the advantage, since it tilts and slides with one press, which allows you to leave a child seat installed. Tahoe's folding is more complicated, and you would need to remove the child seat. Moving past that, both have some of the best third rows in the business, but the Tahoe comes with an 8% legroom advantage over Traverse. Headroom is nearly identical, and thigh support is good even for adults. Features are also competitive, with vents, USB ports, and cup holders. But you're watching this comparison because you need a lot of space, so just how much do they include in the cargo areas? Well, just like with the third rows, you'll find that while the Traverse is the best in its segment, it's still not quite as large as the King Tahoe. Behind all three seating configurations, the Tahoe has about a 20% advantage. Again, the Traverse is still huge, so make sure to consider just how much space you truly need. Features-wise, both models have auto-opening power tailgates, power folding third rows, spare tires, and buttons to fold the second row from the cargo area. However, it's only the Tahoe that allows you to pop the rear glass independent of the tailgate. This is still a tight race, so now let's take them out on the road and see if Tahoe has the Traverse beat. So in order to give you that more affordable price tag, there had to be some sacrifices, and one of those places is under the hood of the Traverse. While the Tahoe stays with its tried and true 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, making 420 horsepower as equipped, the Traverse has half the cylinders and is now using a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It still makes great power numbers at 328 horsepower, but it's definitely a downgrade in terms of acceleration and overall refinement experience. Alright, and that's 65 miles an hour with this Traverse RS. So, with the next generation of Traverse, we have a totally different powertrain than the last generation. So we have gotten rid of the 3.6 V6, and we now have a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. That goes for all trim levels of the Traverse, including this top-end RS. Now with this, we have 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque, and those are really good power numbers. And that's 60 miles an hour.
You gotta love it.
So, by the sound of it, I can imagine you guys realize that it is not a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder. This is a V8. So, of course, the trend really across the entire auto industry, no matter what segment we're talking about, is really just been downsizing a lot of the engine options. And it's becoming pretty rare to find just that naturally aspirated V8. So we're really happy to see that. As far as the transmissions are concerned, the Tahoe has a 10-speed automatic, and the Traverse has an 8-speed. Overall performance is good on both, and power is routed to the ground via all 4 wheels. Alright, so that was an acceleration from a complete stop, going a bit downhill. Let's talk about the other aspect of the powertrain. So that, of course, is our transmission. We've got an 8-speed automatic transmission. Through our time we've spent with this, I think it's a nice and responsive transmission. Really no complaints. It's nice and smooth overall. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, we also have a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's the same as last year. It's still a very smooth transmission overall. It also has the ability to, drop several gears at once to meet your power need, no matter what. But perhaps as important as power is ride quality. The Tahoe, with its higher price tag, affords a couple advantages over the Traverse. It has magnetic ride control, aka adaptive dampers, and a full air suspension. That means that surprisingly, even with those massive 24-inch wheels, the Tahoe's ride is still smoother and more controlled than the Traverse, which lets in a few sharp intrusions from its also large 22-inch wheels.
How does it ride? And we've been spending this entire afternoon with this Tahoe with the 24-inch alloy wheels on the outside. And I have to say the ride quality we found to be pretty good. Now, I say pretty good, and I'm going to explain that a little bit here in just a second, but the fact that we have pretty good ride with 24-inch alloy wheels is exceptionally impressive, and the reason for that is because we have a magnetic ride control system here on the High Country. We also have the available air suspension as tested today, so those two systems working in combination really do give you very good ride quality, even despite those absolutely massive wheels on the outside. I think that's just a very impressive testament to this vehicle. Or the 22 is really going to hurt the ride quality. And here's what I'm going to say about it. We drove it for about an hour already this morning. We've been on quite a few different road surfaces, and I have to say I am very impressed with what Chevy has done here. 22s in this segment are very, very large. It's probably the largest wheel option that you can get in this segment, and when you hit a bump, you can feel some penetration into the cabin, so it's a little bit sportier feeling than some of the other rivals with smaller wheels. However, I think they've done a fantastic job of keeping it very controlled overall.
And as far as sound insulation, here at Car Confections, we test every car we review at 55 miles per hour to see how quiet they are. Both come in with good measurements, although we can't officially score them due to both measures being tested on out-of-state media drives. But here are the decibel readings for your reference anyways.
57.7 decibels is what we were sitting at. 57.2 decibels before we got soiled by this red light here.
Finally, when it comes to fuel economy, as expected, the Traverse takes the lead. While neither has exceptional fuel economy, it still gets 5 mpg better combined, which will certainly save you on fuel over the lifetime of the vehicle. Alright, so now it's time to evaluate the big price difference between these two Chevy SUVs to see if the Tahoe is worth the premium. The Tahoe comes in at a whopping $36,315 more expensive, which according to our average price scale will give the Traverse a quarter point per $1,000. That will be 9 points to the Traverse to compensate. I want to emphasize that if money and overall value matter less to you personally, feel free to disregard these points. So that's it for another comparison between these two big Chevy SUVs. But let's go ahead and recap here with who should be your personal winner based on what is most important to you. So if your priorities lie in having the best value, definitely the Traverse is going to be the way to go because it is significantly cheaper even when you get the fully loaded model. You also have the sportier exterior look, especially with the RS that was in today's review, and you also get better fuel economy from the engine.
Now, on the flip side, the Tahoe should be your choice if you want more luxury on the inside. Now, of course, the price difference does mean that you're going to be paying more for it, but you get a lot more luxury. You're also going to have better cargo capacity as well as a third row. Your towing ability is significantly improved because of that body-on-frame platform, and the overall drive experience, I will say, is much better with the V8 as well as the air suspension and magnetic ride control. So which of these two big SUVs are you taking? Let us know down below. Also, if you're looking to buy either one of these vehicles, be sure to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because there's a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. And guys, that's where we're leaving off on this comparison. If you enjoyed watching, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews, comparisons, and news. So do yourself a favor and subscribe down below. If you're already part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.